Hello everybody, and welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to be talking about the 2026 United States governor elections, or gubernatorial elections. Now, these elections often go very unnoticed. Like if you watch in the media, like on news, on social media, you'll hear a lot about the Senate races and the House, because that's like the federal national government. But the governor's races really don't get discussed that much, which is interesting because if you're concerned about what's happening in your life, it's really the governors who you should be worried about. Like the Senate and the House don't really pass legislation that often anymore. It's really about your local government, like your local state government or even city or town government that actually has like an impact on your life, as opposed to things like the federal national government. And so today, we're going to be taking a look at the current state of these elections, as in if the elections were held, how I think they would go as of now, August 16th, 2026. The elections will be on November 3rd, so we're about, roughly 2.5 months-ish out from Election Day. Now, as a bit of a disclaimer, when I say that a state is safe red or safe blue, I'm not going off of margin. Like I know a lot of people go off of like, oh well, a state is likely Dem because it voted by 5 points, or a state is safe Dem because it voted by 30 points. I'm going off of likelihood. Like if I had Wisconsin as safe blue, that doesn't mean I think the Democrats going to win Wisconsin by 30 points. It means I think the race could maybe be close, but in every scenario, I see the Democrat winning. Like, I struggle to see a scenario in which Republicans win. The winner will almost certainly be a Democrat. It could be by 1 point, it could be by 40 points. So, just to explain that. And I'll be starting off with all of the races I'm characterizing as safe. And for that, for the Democrats, I have Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado, New Mexico, New York, yes, Pennsylvania, that might be surprising, but I'll explain it in a second, Illinois, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland, and Maine, as well as Minnesota. And for Republicans, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, and Vermont. So the reason why I have Pennsylvania as safe blue is because, and that might sound surprising, because that's Pennsylvania. Ooh, that's a swing state, right? The swing state. The Democrats have a very, very, very popular incumbent governor there, Josh Shapiro. He's up by like 20 points in polling. Republicans have basically abandoned the race. Pennsylvania will stay blue. And again, with like Oregon will probably end up being close because it kind of always is. Like if we take a look here, like Governor 2022 Oregon Democrat plus 3.4%, 2018 a blue wave year, only like 6 points, 2016 only 7 points, 2014 only 5 points. So like Oregon governor is always close for some reason, but it never ends up actually flipping. Same thing with like Connecticut. Again, I'm not saying if I have a state as safe blue or safe red on this map, that doesn't mean I think the Republican or Democrat will win by a landslide. It just means that like a Republican or a Democrat is almost certainly going to win, even if it is close. Now I'll go into likely states. For the Republicans, I have Kansas, which would be a flip, Texas, and New Hampshire. And the reason for that is because there has been some polling out of the Texas governor race. So if we take a look at it, there has been some polling that suggests it's closer. Abbott's only up by 3 points. A Fox News poll only had him up by 1 point. Emerson, a very accurate pollster, only has him up by 4 points. So again, this will probably be the closest governor's race of Greg Abbott's career, but I still expect him to hold on. I still expect him to win. I don't think a Democrat would win I don't think that, what's her name, Gina Hinojosa, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't think she's going to win. It could be close. It'll probably be the closest of his career, as I said, but it's not like the Senate race. I don't think it'll end up being a flip, or it could even be a flip. Same with New Hampshire. New Hampshire likes selecting Republican governors. They're Republican on the state level, but they look Democrats on the federal level. I don't really know why. It's just part of New Hampshire's culture. And Kansas would be a flip. Democrats actually currently have the Kansas governor race. They won it in 2018, unexpectedly held it in 2022. In 2026, the Democrat governor there, Laura Kelly, is retiring. And so it's expected to be a flip to the Republicans. See, Leonard, Tiltar, flip. They're all saying flips. And I do think Kansas will likely go. Oh, and I forgot this. Florida is safer. Sorry, I forgot about that. And now left with these few. Now for the lightly Democrat states, I have Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. I'll start with Wisconsin. I actually had, if you give me a second to pull it up. Sorry, not Michigan. We'll get to that in a second. I actually had Wisconsin governor for a while as Tilt R, and that was because of Francesca Hong. There was a moment originally where I thought that Francesca Hong may end up becoming the nominee. I did, however, predict that David Crowley would end up winning, which was a huge upset victory, like what it says here. I did predict that David Crowley would win. However, in the event that it had been Francesca Hong, I would have had the race as Tiltar because she just simply was not electable and was a bad candidate for the swingiest of all swing states. However, because they have taken her out, and now they'll have a more centrist, generic Democrat, I do expect it to be an almost certain Democrat win. That's what I have it as likely. Same thing in Michigan and Arizona. I think in Wisconsin, you'll see sort of the same thing you saw in the two Supreme Court elections in April 2025 and April of this year in 2026. Not the same margin, but the fact that Republican turnout will be low, Democrat turnout will be high, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. It's not all that super close. So we now get to lean races. For the Democrats, I give them Iowa and Georgia. Those would both be flips. I have Iowa because the incumbent governor, Kim Reynolds, is retiring, and the Democrat running, Rob Sand, is a very popular incumbent. I think he's like the only Democrat who was able to win in 2022. He actually won statewide narrowly, same thing. He was the only Democrat to win there statewide. He actually flipped his seat back in 2018. He's a very strong, sensible, like centrist Democrat, so I do think it flips. If you look at the polling there, he's actually up by 5 points in most polls. Even Emerson College has him up. Fox News has him up by 9 points and above 50. Even the Republican internal has him up by 5 points. So I do think Democrats flip Iowa. If you look at Georgia, that's another state. Georgia is one of those states that's just trending to the left, especially in a year like this. There is no incumbent running. Brian Kemp's not running again. She is the former mayor of Atlanta, I believe. Just to check that. Yeah, was mayor of Atlanta. And Rick Jackson is not the strongest candidate. He has a lot of money, a lot of fundraising skills, but because he's a billionaire, I'm pretty sure. But he just isn't experienced in politics. And as it says here, Democrats actually outvoted Republicans in this primary. And that is very unique because both sides had a competitive primary. And so I do think that given the nature of the year, Georgia is a lean flip. So the rest of the states on this map I have as tilt, as in it could go either way. I give one party an ever so narrow chance, likelihood at flipping it, and that's Ohio, Nevada, and Alaska. I'll start with Alaska. Alaska is normally a pretty red state, but because of ranked choice voting and because of just the nature of Alaskan politics, Democrats are now starting to do well in Alaska because of ranked choice voting, just because they have a very weird politics there. And so I give Republicans an ever so slight advantage in the state. Although, because there's no incumbent running, and if you look at polling, under ranked choice polling, Tom Begich, the Democrat, would end up winning, and in most polling, just straight up, he is actually ahead. And so I give Republicans a tilt advantage in Alaska, which leaves us with Nevada. In Nevada, this was the only state in 2022 where Republicans were actually able to flip a Democrat-held seat. They beat an incumbent governor. This is where the red wave actually did happen. and I expect Lombardo to narrowly hold on. Yes, it's a blue wave year. Yes, a lot of those Latino, Hispanic gains amongst Republicans have been erased, but he's a very, like, you probably haven't heard of him. He's a very local, he's pro-choice on abortion, very local, business-focused Republican. He's not a national Republican. He supports Trump, but doesn't always, wholeheartedly talk about him. He's a very locally focused governor, and because of that, he probably will, at this point, I think, will narrowly eke it out. That's why I give him a narrow advantage, although this could change, which leaves us with the final state, which is Ohio. Now, Ohio is one of those states that is zooming to the right. It's been trending, right? Mike DeWine here, the last election, won it by 25 points. So the issue is that Republicans have a terrible candidate. Whether it's due to Republicans not liking brown candidates or the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy is just a bad campaigner, he is really making this election competitive. If you look in polls, Ramaswamy's narrowly ahead. A Fox News poll had him ahead by 2 points. Other Fox poll had him down a point. I still think Republicans hold on to the governor's race here. I don't think Amy Acton will win. However, it's alarming that that Republicans will probably only win that governor's race by less than 5, maybe even less than 3 points. Also, just given the nature of the year. And so there you have it. That's all of the governor's races up for election this year predicted. I think that if elections happen right now, Republicans would flip Kansas, whereas Democrats would gain Iowa and Georgia. So as of right now, there are 26 Republican governors and 24 Democrats. I think that Democrats would make the net gain of 1 seat, as in they would lose 1, knocking them down to 23, but then they would gain 2 more, so that put it to 25. So you would go from 26 to 24 to 25 to 25, with the Democrats gaining a net gain of 1 seat, in which you would have 25-25, a split even country. Again, Republicans would flip Kansas, Democrats would flip Iowa and Georgia, and every other state would say more or less the same, with a hold. But again, those are just my thoughts. Feel free to leave your comments, concerns, your opinions in the comments down below. If you disagree, if you agree, any content suggestions, if you want to criticize this or debate me, I'm always open to that. And thank you so much for watching. I've just started uploading a lot again recently, and have an awesome day.